Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Right, this is Strange Brews, a little collective we put together to do this sort of event. And it's got Harry Gallagher, who's back there. Say hello, Harry.
Hello, Harry.
Well done. Adam back there. Say hello, Adam.
Hello, Adam.
That's Adam Holden, Harry Gallagher. We are Anne Morris. This is Marina. We go under the name of Miggins Fiddle. Miggins is my cat, and we were looking for a name, so we named the duo after the cat. Who knew?
The cat doesn't really like us very much at all.
It's heard the stories about fiddle strings. Right, we're going to start with a song. Well, we're going to do mostly stuff reflecting Northeast heritage. Right, and this is a song called Dolly R. Fresh I come from Sandgate Street, Dolly, Dolly, my best friend's there to meet. Dolly, ah, Dolly, the dill and doll, Dolly, 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 the dill and doll, Dolly, ah. The black cuffs has gone away, Dolly, Dolly, that'll be a crying day, Dolly, ah, Dolly, the dill and doll, Dolly, 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 the dill and doll, Dolly, ah. Dolly Coxon's pawned a sock, Dolly, Dolly, all for to ride the baggage cart, Dolly, ah, Dolly, the dill and doll, Dolly, 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 the dill and doll, Dolly, ah. The green cuffs is coming in, Dolly, Dolly, that'll make the lasses sing, Dolly, ah, Dolly, the dill and doll, Dolly, 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 the dill and doll, Dolly, ah. Fresh I come from Sandgate Street, Dolly, Dolly, my best friend's there to meet, Dolly, ah, Dolly, the dill and doll, Dolly, 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 the dill and doll, Dolly, ah, Dolly, the dill and doll, Dolly, 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 the dill and doll, Dolly, ah. Thank you very much, thank you. That song, I suppose it needs, Newcastle was a garrison town to guard against the Scots, and that's about the different regiments coming and leaving the city. The Black Cuffs regiment with black cuffs on their red tunics, green cuffs on the tunics. You know the deal. And this
Dolly
is
Copson liked
Dolly,
soldiers, didn't
Dolly
she?
Copson particularly liked soldiers. Yes, this is the thing. And the Newcastle girls had a thing for soldiers apparently. This is a tune that we're going to do now, and Marina and I wrote this at a stupid time of day. We took to writing tunes via Facebook Messenger, just bouncing little bits backwards and forwards. And this one got finished about 1:30 one morning. And we were deciding we were going to do some things round the Eusburn. And there's a place just up the road called Ballast Hills. And I always thought Ballast Hills, that's a place where there are obviously the hills made of the ballast that was tipped out of the ships and all that. But it's actually also a very, very ancient, I think late 17th century burial ground. And yes, non-conformists were buried in this burial ground up there. And you'll notice wandering around the Eusburn, if you do wander around the Eusburn, that you'll see occasionally little groups of paving stones that have little bits of writing on them. It's because those paving stones are the paving stones that used to be the gravestones from the burial ground up at Ballast Hill. There you go. There's some just outside the Eusburn Farm along the way. Right, and it's in G minor.
So this is Ballast Hills.
And we'll finish this little bit with another song from this part of the world called Derwent Water's Farewell, and it's purportedly written, it's the last letter of Lord Derwent Water before he was executed for treason, because he was supporter of one of the Jacobite uprisings, as many. Northumbrians were often supporters. There's lots of tunes in the Northumbrian repertoire about people who had their heads chopped off or who were hanged as traitors because they were Northumbrian lords and all that sort of thing. And actually, most of the Northumbrians always supported the Jacobites, but the Newcastle people in the Jacobite rebellions famously at one point supported King George of England. Hence they were the Geordies and the Northumbrians weren't the Geordies. So the real Geordies are the people of Newcastle upon Tyne, not the people of Northumberland. There you go. Useless fact number 832. So this is Derwent Waters' Farewell, and it's in the key of there, I think. Pleasant Dilston Hall, my father's ancient seat. A stranger now must call ye his, which gars my heart to greet. Farewell, each friendly, well-known face my heart has held so dear. My tenants all must leave their lands, or hold their lives in fear. No more along the banks of Tyne I'll rove in autumn grey. No more I'll hear at early dawn the labrets wake the day. And who will deck the hawthorn bower where my fond childhood strayed? And who, when spring shall bid it flower, shall sit beneath its shade? And fare thee well, George Collingwood, since fate has put us down. Though you and I have lost our lives, our king has lost his crown. And when the head that wears the crown shall be laid low like mine, some honest hearts may then lament for Rattlers fallen line. And fare thee well, my lady dear, ill thou counselled me. I never more shall see the bed that smiles upon your knee. And fare thee well, brave Widrington, and Foster ever true. Dear Shaftesbury and Darrington, receive my last adieu. Well, my bonny grey steed that carried me I so free, I wish I'd been asleep in my bed last time I mounted thee. The warning bell now bids me cease, my troubles nearly o'er. The sun that rises from the sea shall rise for me no more. Albeit here in London town, it is my fate to die. Carry me to Northumberland, in my father's grave to lie, and chant my solemn requiem in Hexham's holy towers. And let 6 maids from fair Tyneside adorn my grave with flowers. Thank you very much. Thank you. It's Harry is going to entertain us with some poems.
Entertain, did you say?
Yes.
Oh yes, did you not know?
Oh, dear.
Sorry, you didn't get the memo. Yes, it's entertaining people with poems.
Hello. Is my voice carrying to the back? Oh God, I'm in trouble. Right, so a night of heritage poetry. I'm going to take this off. Heritage. I'm going to start off with my own heritage. I come from a place which very much reminds me of here, and it's a very glamorous, attractive little town, popular with tourists. You might have heard it. It's a bit posher than here. Middlesbrough. This really does remind me of Middlesbrough. Incidentally, my mum was bombed out in the war in a tunnel like this, but it wasn't like a proper tunnel like this. It was either the Anderson shelters. Bomb hit the entrance to the shelter, which when they got dug out, this is heritage really. When they got dug out, she was I think 8-year-old, and she always told me her worst memory in her life was when they got dug out the shelter. They'd been stuck in there for hours when the volunteers dug them out. And they come out and what she saw was the burning embers, the frame of a house, and that was all that was left of it. And it's quite unreal, you know, places like this, it kind of brings it all back. We were lucky enough to do the tour of this place a couple of months ago, and if you look to the back there, you can see that they have blast things at intervals right the way up the tunnel, so that if a bomb hit here, it wouldn't travel all the way up. Quite remarkable. But anyway, different times. So the reason I tell you that is because this poem I'm going to start with is about Middlesbrough, not about Newcastle. I moved up here when I was about 40. I endured 40 years in Teesside first. And this is about Teesside, about where it comes from really. And I thought I would start with this because it's about history. And Teesside only exists, Middlesbrough only exists because of the iron that's in the hills, or that was in the hills before we dug it all out and mined it. Before then, in 1825 in the census, there was 17 people lived in a farmhouse and outlying buildings, and that was it. There was nothing else there. It had existed 1,000 years ago, but it had gone down to nothing by then. And then the Industrial Revolution happened, this kind of stuff was happening, they needed railways everywhere, and they found iron in the Cleveland Hills, and there was nobody lived in Middlesbrough. So Middlesbrough, I'm not going to get into the politics, Middlesbrough currently has a Tory MP and voted strongly for Brexit and all the rest of that. And people vote for Brexit for all sorts of reasons, but Teesside, it was kind of, there was a lot of distrust of foreigners, which I always found ironic, because everybody in Teesside's from somewhere else. And my family, my surname's Gallagher, both sides of my family are Irish, and nearly everybody in Teesside comes from Ireland because there being no workers, they had to import them from Ireland, and the famine was going on. And so everybody just came in, and that's what this is about. And this is called Moulded from Ferris. This town was moulded from Ferris, on the backs of the Irish, and the miners shipped in from the Southland to these badlands. From the stench of the chimneys to the quench of the bars, lining the streets of a town made of iron. On the bodies of every Patrick and Michael and Rose and Colleen, and the skinned knees and elbows of thousands of children, playing and dancing on cobbles and grime, they're building a future in 3/4 time. And down in the King Billy, they're drowning the cares, draining the dregs from the last of the kegs. But while daddies are drinking, mammies are cleaning, while all in the one bed, 4 babies are dreaming of one day maybe's living on the posh side of the rails. But the horizons were made up from choking smoke trails. This town was moulded from Ferris, and the blood of the Irish, and the pride of its people, and the sinews and sweat of the men underground, and the ashes of all who expired in a furnace. All those Patricks and Michaels, Roses and Colleens, they all burnt their boats on the river of dreams. So, unseen to you, I've got piles of poems here, and the reason I've got them, I'll go into fairly shortly. But the first thing I'm going to do is go a bit off the beaten track Because I don't know what happened. The last thing I remember was in 1977. I was a 14-year-old aspirant punk who was dying to get my hair dyed and wasn't allowed, and all of that kind of stuff. And I loved the Jam and the Sex Pistols and all of that. And now I wake up this year and I'm a bloody granddad. I don't know what happened. The rest's a blank. But we have 3 grandsons, and the eldest of them is Noah. And Noah's 7 now. But he was about, I'm not sure if he was 5 or 6 when I wrote this. And the 2 eldest lads are home educated. So the mum, they read constantly and learn stuff all the time, and they do stuff away from the home. They go to forest school and all sorts of things. And we picked Noah up from forest school one time. And actually, forest school had took him to the beach, which, considering he lives in Whitley Bay, is a bit of a busman's holiday for the poor kid. But anyway, so this has nothing to do with heritage at this point, but we'll come back to heritage at some point. So we got him in the back of the car, and you know when kids are at that age, that formative age of about 5 or 6, where they're excited and they're dying to tell you what they've been doing all day. We picked him up from this day out on the beach in forest school, and he was doing that because he couldn't get the words out quick enough. But what he was trying to tell us all the things he'd learned, because they'd done science lessons at the beach and biology and all this kind of stuff, and he couldn't wait to tell us. And so, being a thieving poet, I just remembered them all and wrote them down when I got home. So this is Thieving Grandad's poem. This is Back from Homeschooling at the Beach. The tarantula first takes out its victim's nervous system before consuming it, and starfish's limbs grow back just like a newt's tail does if you pull it off, and if coral reef goes white, it means it's going to die, and this happens a lot. And today we went out into the ocean on a very thin wall, on an island a mile from the shore, and I had a Battenberg ice cream, or it might have been banana, but it was lovely anyway. And what's your favourite flavour? Mummy's is strawberry and Daddy's is mint choc chip, and all this thinking is tiring. My brain is even fuller than my belly, and can I have a biscuit, please? So, having come from Middlesbrough, I find myself mightily relieved now to live in Cullercoats. We don't have anything that posh in the borough. But so the Cullercoats, what I didn't know when I moved there, it's full of writers and artists and stuff. Often these little seaside villages are. And one of the writers there is called Peter Mortimer. Peter's an old friend of mine. I've worked with him on and off for years. And he runs a press, he runs a publisher. And one day he approached me 4 years ago and said, there's 6 working writers live in the village here. How about I commission you each to give us 6 or 7 pages and we'll make a little book out of it, all about Cullercoats. So I went, oh, right, okay then. As you do, you never say no. So then I walked away and thought, oh Jesus, what the hell am I going to write? And my prayers were answered when, with my dear wife, we went into the local cafe, not even thinking about writing anything about Cullercoats. But as we were sat there, those who will know me will know I'm overly fond of coffee and cake. There's a reason I'm this shape. So we were sat there, and just across in the cafe there's a young couple, and they're doing that thing of, you know, holding hands across the table, and they were whispering to each other all the time like that. And it was sickening, frankly. But we were watching them, or I was watching them, and I suddenly thought, as you do, what if they're not young lovers? What if they're spies? They could be like sharing secrets, couldn't they? So I know when this was written because it's in the title of the poem. This is called Boatyard Stakeout, 16:30 hours, 6th of October 2018. Outside, fighter seagulls clear airspace for bomber command, while the couple in the cafe whistle low code across the table. Hands joined at the controls, they draw lines on unseen maps, whisper plans about rose cottages and the moulding of a team of little secret agents. The couple in the cafe will not be buffeted by east winds as they discuss the weather and everything but. Talking long term on short wave, secret agents Livy and Dave have special forces on their side. What shall I do now? I know what I shall do now. I shall let the audience decide what I'm going to do now. Because I'm rubbish at picking sets. I've got all these like thousands of poems and I can never decide. And you know, as a performer, you get there and the set you picked and you look around and you go, oh God, they won't like that, I'll check that out. And oh no, she's going to be offended by that, I'll check that one out. And you end up with like 2 poems. So what I do these days is, because I just like write all the time, I've brought enough poems with me because I'm anally retentive to cover by title every letter of the alphabet. So I'm going to give it to you to shout out a letter at random and we'll see what we got. Keeps the evening alive, doesn't it? So somebody shout me out a letter. M. I have got an M. Moulded from Ferris starts with M. Oh yeah, I know what I'm going to do. I've only just added this one tonight actually, and this is a memory of when I was a kid. So today, just before it started raining, Bridget, my wife, suggested strongly to me that it's about time that the weeds got cut down in the garden. And I'm a useless adult male. All my friends, I've got a friend here tonight who's like really practical and he fixes engines and he did that. Honestly, I could get lost in the freezer aisle at Sainsbury's. So I've got no practical skills whatsoever, and even worse, no interest either. So, but I tried gardening once at the suggestion of my parents, but I was so green I was easily fooled by them. So this is a memory I have from childhood of actually trying to do something useful. And my dad eventually gave up on me and thought, I remember I heard him say to me, Mum, I think our Harry's going to have to get a job where he doesn't have to use his hands. So this is a poem about a practical joke that they played on me. And I wasn't aware of this until I was well into middle age. So this is called The Miracle of the Potato Peelings. Rows of carrots and peas bowed their leaves to his fingers, but shrugged at the shadow of the stained doors boy, to whom the garden was a joy to only the old and infirm. Then one sunny Sunday roast, minimal kitchen chores would force him outside. Here, take out them potato peelings. Don't put them in the bin. Bury them in the soil. We'll grow new potatoes from them. Sly smiles missed, huffing and puffing, they were given a send-off 6 inches underground. Months later, digging aches long forgotten, came the reveal. Here, why don't you give your little tatey patch a go? Tooled up with a trowel designed for unveiling miracles, there beneath a dusting of suspiciously fresh soil, a crop of miniature spuds, fresh from the greengrocer. Mum, Dad, I've grown some from those skins. Me parents, for their sins, never let on. They're both long gone now, these magicians who created somethings from nothings. But I think of them often, and when I do, they're building dolls' houses, fixing bicycle punctures, and chuckling indulgent at the planting of newly purchased potatoes. I feel we need another letter.
W.
W. You're dangerous around there, my friend. What we got for W? Oh, I know what we got for W. This is a nice one. And this is heritage. If I brought the book along. Right at the bottom. So this is heritage, and have anybody here? Have you ever been to Gothland?
Yeah.
Where the film they used to film Heartbeat. If you haven't been, Gothland's got a fantastic old Victorian railway station, and the North Yorkshire Movers Railway works from there. I think it's only on weekends generally. These old steam trains go up and down for a few miles, and it's lovely day out. And it's all manned by volunteers. Man's an old-fashioned male word, isn't it? It's people worked by volunteers. but they are mostly old men. And they're all these old guys who love steam trains, and you do occasionally see young women working there, but they're these old guys. And anyway, we were stood on the platform at Gortland waiting for the train, and there was a little old fella, and he stood right next to us, close to the wall here, and he was about 5 foot tall, and he must have been well in his 80s. And obviously with the volunteers, they've all got all these stock of uniforms, jackets and things hanging on the wall, and you just have to take what's there. So this little old boy was wearing this North Yorkshire Railway, Moore's Railway jacket that came down to there on his fingers. So it was like a little kid, and you couldn't see him inside his jacket. But you know what? He was absolutely so proud to be there, and he was stood up like he was to attention, and you could see he was loving it. So I repaired to a corner and wrote this while we were stood next to him. It's called Waiting for a Train for your W. He's waiting for a train, the old man with the trembling left hand. Station master's jacket and corduroy trousers 2 sizes too big. The bag of bones young boy he is for the day nudges me with his good arm, the one fit for whistling had he enough breath left in his coaly old lungs. He leans in, glances over his shoulder as if passing on state rail secrets. She's a beauty, isn't she? I don't ask if he's referring to the engine, the carriage, the station, the weather, or the dancing mist clouding his eyes, but he's right anyway. In late afternoon sun, I ask, has he been waiting long? All my life, son, all my life. Right, one more. This requires audience participation. Are you ready for it?
Yes.
Yeah, no. The voice from the green room, we have dissenters among us. Of the dark grey room from what I can see. So, this requires you to join in, otherwise it won't go any further. And there's only one word you have to learn, but I'm sure you'll get it pretty quick. I don't always do like rhymey poems, some of them, as you know, you have to pick it up, they go in and out of rhyme. But this is ridiculously rhyming. So you'll get it easy. I'm relying on you. Pigs live in sties, Yorkshire puds rise, wet paint dries, James Bond spies, Boris just
Lies.
How did you know? Coconuts sit on shies, rain falls from the skies, a job seeker applies, advisors advise, Boris just
Lies.
A town crier cries, a happy shopper buys, a beach bum fries, leaky ships capsize, Boris just
Lies.
Autobiographical bit. Fat lads love pies. An aeroplane flies, wasps terrorise, rugby players score tries, Boris just
Lies.
I only believe what I see with my eyes. His lips are moving, no surprise, because Boris just
Lies.
Thank you very much. I'll see you in the second half.
Right. Adam, you can introduce yourself. You've got to leave it up. It's very entertaining.
It's only to get the strap. Thanks, Morris. Thanks, Harry. You don't want to know why the green room's green. Last time we played, I came early and didn't bring gloves. And it was quite uncomfortable playing. I had gloves on, that's good. I wrote this on a bench in Newcastle on a march. I don't really like marching or chanting, so I sat down and wrote a song. It's called The Wind Is Blowing in the Sail. Doesn't like this. The wind is blowing in the sail, my friends, my friends. The wind is blowing in the sail, my friends. This course is ours to take, though our spirits sink and bodies break. The wind is blowing in the sail, and a guide mast never bends. A guide mast never bends. A story is living in the wires, my friends, my friends. A story is living in the wires, my friends. As deep as the cables lie, hailing satellites that scrape the sky. A story is living in the wires that no one comprehends. No one comprehends. The birds are singing in the street, my friends, my friends. Birds are singing in the street, my friends. Gulls and pigeons rise with the element of surprise. Birds are singing in the street, and the peregrine descends. The peregrine descends. Whose feet are moving to the drum, my friends, my friends. Feet are moving to the drum, my friends. They dance upon the ground, from the mountain top to the valley drown. Those feet are moving to the drum, and a rite that never ends. A rite that never ends. My friends, my friends, wave is running to the shore, my friends. With every boat set fast, from the tallest to the least and last, a wave is running to the shore, and on this all hope depends. On this all hope depends. The wind is blowing in the sail, my friends, my friends. The wind is blowing in the sail, my friends. Deep as the cables lie, hailing satellites that scrape the sky. The wind is blowing in the sail, and a guide mast never bends. A guide mast never bends. So that's from an EP called Playtime for Everyone. Ducks. This is a song I wrote actually on the way to meet Morris for a pint on my 40th birthday, which is now a hideously long time ago. And it's for my twin sister, whose birthday also was. Unsurprisingly. And it's the only song I've got that involves crossing the Tyne Bridge on a bus. I'm gonna get a new guitar in a minute. This one's broken. It's called Blessings and Blues. The world has stopped at the station. I'm sitting up top. Sunshine streams through the windows until the air feels hot. There's something cold at my shoulder. All the green leaves have turned. I'm just another year older. I wonder what I've learned. Sitting down at this table, I've got nothing to lose. Given all I'm able, I'll sing these blessings and blues. The bus is full and it's leaving, heading down across the Tyne, in a blaze of glorious feeling. But I want to make mine, so I sit down at this table with nothing to lose. Given all I'm able, I'll sing these blessings and blues, and watch the celebration. If you don't make it count, if you will not examine the font and the fount, so bless yourself twice, then do it again. Once for your mother, for your family and friends, for those other people on whom more life depends, and last for your lover and the way that it ends. Every road leads to this place, a guitar and a chair. I'll keep the light by the fireplace, hope to find you there, sitting down at this table with nothing to lose. Given all I'm able, I'll sing you blessings and blues. Given all I'm able, I'll sing you blessings and blues. Thank you very much. That's the show. Thank you. That's my glamorous assistant. So I bought a new guitar. It's actually not a new guitar, it's a second-hand guitar. And it may look to the untrained eye exactly like the one I've just given Morris. Which is kind of true. I think it's about a year younger. It's mahogany, not rosewood. It's also tuned into a different tuning, which is the purpose of this. It's excellent. This is a... Oh, so all my songs have a northeast heritage, which is despite growing up in London. I've lived there for 22 years now. 23 years? But I wrote this to sing at the Bridge Folk Club, which is, as they will tell you, the second oldest folk club, continuously going folk club in the country. It's brilliant. And I wanted to write something that had a sort of sing-along element to it. So Morris, could you sing along? And it's called Nobody to Hear It But the Singer. When she got in at 5, they were waiting. She cleared up and made the kids tea. She stood at the window, still aching from the bend in the back of her knee. fist plunged deep in hot water, washing the glasses and plates. There was something her mother had taught her that could lift these impossible weights. You can carry a tune on forever with just the breath that is keeping you strong, and nobody to hear it but the singer. Nobody to hear it but the singer. Nobody to hear it but the singer and the song. By the time that the room had stopped spinning and the thump in his chest had gone still, his hand in his hair frail and thinning, his tongue on the edge of a pill, he climbed to the top of the stairwell. A sudden quiet rose up from the din, and listening out for the doorbell, he started to whistle a hymn. You can carry a tune on forever with just the breath that is keeping you strong, and nobody to hear it but the singer. Nobody to hear it but the singer. Nobody to hear it but the singer and the song. When a child runs away from the darkness and a baby cries out in the night, and you fear that it's hopeless or heartless, and you want to turn on all the lights, there's a sound that starts up inside you, taking shape without meaning or end. If you let it escape, it will find you. A teacher, a comfort, a rebellious friend. You can carry a tune on forever with just the breath that is keeping you strong, and nobody to hear it but the singer. Nobody to hear it but the singer. Nobody to hear it but the singer and the song. As a sound starts up inside you, taking shape without meaning or end. If you let it escape, it will find you. A teacher, a comfort, a rebellious friend. You can carry a tune on forever with just the breath that is keeping you strong, and nobody to hear it but the singer. Nobody to hear it but the singer. Nobody to hear it but the singer and the song. Thank you very much. And thank you, Morris.
Thank you, Adam. Right, we're going to do things now.
We do things.
We're going to do things that are theoretically interesting. North East heritage. North East is well known for things like beer.
And things like this, Morris.
Well, yes, a book of poetry about beer.
And tunes.
Poetry and tunes about beer. So,
Not just a book. On the inside cover, an audio download code, which is yours. Free for £8.50.
hang on, but
Or
Both comfy seats.
2 for £17. Special offer. What we doing first? Scanneries. So, shall I introduce this while you're
yes.
tuning up?
Well, hang on. What key are we in?
What can you? That's not a good sign.
I'm in tune. You see, the advantage of a carbon fibre guitar, even in this damp, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Adam wished he'd got one of them about quarter of an hour ago. So, Cullercoats Brewery. Yeah, we decided we would do, because their ales are pretty damn good, and all of them are named after kind of local happenings in history or local landmarks close to the coast. And this one isn't about the landmark. This is one we wrote about them because they actually have. It's Bill and Anna Scantlebury who own the business, and they were sat. They live in Cullercoats, and they were sat in the Queens. You know the Queens in Cullercoats, on the cliff top. That's where the Queens is really what old Cullercoats was. Nearly everything around it's gone now. I'm told by historians T. Dan Smith was involved. Round about near where the Queens is, he actually had planning permission in to build a multi-storey block right on the edge of the cliff there. We were saved. So, but anyway, they were sat there, Bill and Anna were sat there some years ago, before they thought about having a brewery, and they were sat drinking beer in the Queens, which is a really old pub, and they suddenly thought, we can imagine we could brew this stuff ourselves. We could do this as a business and brew our own beers. And if you ever sat around there on a quiet night, perhaps out of season, you can kind of feel the atmosphere around old Cullercoats. The buildings are mostly all gone. Most of the fishwives' cottages are gone, where they would sit and gut fish and prepare the nets for the next day and all of that. But you can feel it around the place still, I think. So their beer that's named after them is called Old Scantlebury. So that's what this poem's called. And at some point when I've started this, Morris and Marina are going to come and take over with the tune Old Scantlebury. Old Scantlebury. Isn't it amazing the things you can see from a bank-top table when the coast is clear and the pull is strong? Peering deeply past the bottom of your glass, stare tomorrow in the eye, rap on its door with a brew, then 2, 3, more, until the taste swims like a lifeboat rescuing the thirsty. Up through the cliffs, round the ghost of Front Street, to the echo of the waves, singing, "Buy me fresh fish." Hopping over wagon trails, tippy-tapping down these hush quiet streets, the sun hiding shy behind its cloudy accomplice. Tripping down lesser walked paths, they nurtured the echoes of these lobster pot fish lasses, all late night gassing over candle-lit nets, needles and knuckles, gansies and fish hooks. Talk of catching the tide, change coming on the wind, and how nowt lasts forever, but some days, if you stop, squeeze your breath tight as a bulging creel basket, close your eyes and sup, you can catch yesterday up, alive and bright silver, dancing like a mackerel on a fisherman's best line. So we're going to move up the coast slightly to, where are we going to? Bamborough. I should know this by now, or other bloody thing. So we're going to go up to Bamborough, and one of the beers that the Cullercoats Brewery brew is called Grace Darling Gold. Now everybody knows the tale about Grace Darling and the rescue that her and her father performed on the ship. But the downside of that was Grace became famous nationally. The papers picked up on it, just like they do now, and pestered her and pestered her. They filled the village of Bamborough with pressmen out looking for her, wanting to interview her, wanting her story, all the rest of it. Nothing changes, does it? And poor old Grace, or poor young Grace, she hated the fame. She was a real introvert, and she was never happier than when she was up in the lighthouse with her father doing shifts and just doing her duty. She lived for that and for her family, and she hated all of that intrusion. And the tragic thing is she died only 4 years afterwards. She was only very young when she died. So I kind of thought, as a plea really to the press to start behaving themselves after hundreds of years. They're never going to do it either, but it would be nice if they did, if they were decent. So this is for Grace. It's Grace Darling Gold. Unlikely, reluctant, call us what you will. I'm just a father's daughter who knew too well the water, the want of a hand and the pull to the land. Now you pressmen come calling, and me dad says, she's out! For I'd rather be alone up there in the lighthouse with the flashing of the flame than be splashed on front pages. You're at one with yourself when you know your own mind, a constant companion, solid as oars in a good firm hold, my oldest friend, more precious than gold. So away back down south. Tell them I've moved, or say that you found us dozened and confused. Neither say I'm unfriendly nor talk of heroism. I'm just a lass keeping watch through a storm-cracked prism. Now, I've a long shift ahead before dawn's faint glow. Enjoy your drink, mister, and mind how you go. Oh, Rocket Brigade. So last poem from this book. Incidentally, if you like this kind of thing, this is a little preview tonight. We're actually launching the album properly in the Cullercoats Watch House sometime in August, 12th of August.
Friday, 12th of
So if you know me on Facebook, I'll be carrying loads of adverts for it, just shamelessly. But in Cullercoats, you see, we're boring with Cullercoats stuff here, but there's more. When you go through Cullercoats, if you're heading like down to Tynemouth from Whitley Bay, and there's only one way to go through. You go through around the seafront. right at the centre of Cullercoats, there's an old garage. It's called Rocket Garage. It's a little car repair place now, but actually, what they kept in that, if you go back to before the RNLI, the rescue guys were just brave local men who got in a big wooden boat with rowing oars and rowed out in most atrocious conditions, and oftentimes they would lose their own lives trying to rescue strangers. It's quite remarkable, really. But sometimes the seas were even too bad for them to row out, and they were experienced sailors and in a really strong boat. And sometimes the only thing they could do was fire a line out to the alien ship if the ship was sinking anywhere on the mouth of the Tyne or around the coast. They would fire this rocket out, and what it was, I saw the rocket actually last week in the Tynemouth Volunteer Life Brigade building, about this long, and it would be filled. You'd fill it with like gunpowder, like a firework, and they would light the fuse and aim it, and the bloody thing would go out, and it would have a rope attached to it, so that they would go out to these rough seas, and the sailors would hopefully be able to get hold of it, and they'd pull them in. It's unthinkable these days. Life's so much easier than it used to be. So Cullercoats Brewery, lovely people, have named one of their beers Rocket Brigade. It's very strong, Rocket Brigade. I had a pint at 5.5% proof last night, and I thought twice about having a second. So Rocket Brigade. Here's a fire-tailed rocket, a life raft aimed with best calculations, packed with craft and endeavour for passage into safe havens. Here's a message of love, with a meteor's trail soaring across the sky, a sting of hope in its tail. Here's a hand from dry land, a love letter from a friend that says, yes, I see you, we can make right and mend. Here's a drink to you then, my jolly Jack Tar. We'll bring you in safe, and we'll see you in the bar. project's been such another brilliant to do. All I knew was I went round to Morris's house where he's got this enormous recording studio and recorded the poems. And then I came back and they'd written tunes for everyone, and then they melded the two together. So as I'm talking, the tunes are coming up underneath it. It's brilliant. I'm proud of it. So, a few more poems. What shall I start off? I know. So, I suppose the reason I've written all my life, but mostly it was a dirty secret that I didn't tell anybody. And I used to write stupid rhymes to partly annoy and partly amuse my friends. But then about 10 years ago, I was encouraged to start sending them off, and then I found that they get published, and then you get book deals, and you find yourself reading on the south coast and in the tip of Scotland and all over the place. So the reason I write and read a lot is because my parents really. My dad used to tell us stories when we were kids, and he'd just make them up. I suppose what I'm saying is that he lied to us consistently when we were children. But this is a retelling of something that he told us, and my younger sister, who was only 5, believed it and went and told everybody at school. But I won't tell you the title because that gives away the punchline to it. My father had a secret love before mother came along. He told us all about her, with Mam rolling her eyes beneath the Killjoy standard lamp. But before she could stop him, the truth was blurted out. As a lad, our dad shared a bed with Pocahontas. The tiniest daughter's doubts were quickly snuffed out by the proof on his upper arm. A smallpox needle scar. But no, not inoculation, it transpired. Oh no, the mark of an arrow fired from a trusty bow of a dusky squaw who played Cupid with our dad. But why did she leave? My 5-year-old sister asked. I could never get to sleep. Her feathers tickled me nose. The next day the tale was tall all over school, of how a Middlesbrough fitter had tasted glamour and glitter and left it all for the high life. So I suppose we build this as an evening of heritage, haven't we? So I better do some heritage things. So I'm going to give you a boring history lesson now. Is that all right? Yeah. So this was used as a Second World War shelter, although the tunnel goes back to the 1800s, obviously. But in the First World War, and I didn't know this until I went into Segedunum Museum about 7 or 8 years ago, and I was looking, and behind the glass case, it's still there, is this odd sort of missile-shaped object, kind of blue-bottomed, and the top is like glass, but the glass is all like curved outwards, like melted, blown apart. And when you read the thing, you find the whole story behind it. It's all in there. So on the 14th of April, 1915, a German Zeppelin coasted in over St Mary's Lighthouse in Whitley Bay and started dropping bombs. Well, I say bombs. There was no bomb bay in a Zeppelin. So what they had was some crew who was lighting the fuse to these things and hoying them out the bloody window. And mostly, it landed all over, they went all over Northumberland. It was like Guidepost and Cramlington and Bedlington and all these places. And it was a bit like that old joke, you know, a bomb went off in Manchester and caused £2.60 worth of damage. It was a bit like that. They just exploded in fields and there was no damage done. But what they're actually looking for was the shipyards in Wallsend, where we were making the warships. And eventually it did find its way over to Wallsend, and it found its way over a house, and they dropped a bomb. They were incendiary devices, really. They dropped a bomb on the roof of this house, and the woman was called Mrs. Sarah Robinson. It was a Sunday night, and she was bathing her kids in the tin bath in front of the fire, and she heard the thud, and then this hot oil started dribbling through the rafters of the house. And this is the interesting bit for me. A mighty woman. She got the kids outside on the street and went back in and beat the flames out herself. Mighty. How rock is that? As they say where I come from, nails. So, while all this is going on, there were local defence volunteers who had been issued these primitive rifles, So the guys on the street, the defence fellas, had seen what was happening, and they went back in the houses and they got out the rifles and started shooting at the bloody thing in the clouds. This big Zeppelin. And you know, the Zeppelin crew must have gone, what? But it worked because it went away up over the North Sea and it never came back again. So I thought it would be fun to give a voice to the guys who were shooting at the thing in the clouds. So this is the Zeppelin's biggest mistake. How are the time with your bombs, bonny lad? Bring that fat old balloon overhead. This is the town that Hadrian built. We'll pull down his wall and we'll take you down and all. Only I wouldn't linger long if I were you, 'cause me and me mates are primed with our rifles. See, you went too far last night when you slipped your filthy bombs over Mrs. Robinson's house. Her little lassie in the bath, oil bubbling through rafters. The fire's out now, you might not like to hear. Ben's safely out on cobbles. She strode black back into flame and flannelled away the last traces of you. See, this is what happens when the devil hangs around in cloud, our God's country. Angels like her tell devils like me, casting upwards to heaven with hell in me fingers. So don't stay away too long, bonny lad. Steer that big black bumblebee out here where we can see it. We are men who magic up ships. Our fists pull coal from the ground and have shit bigger than you. It's one for the kids. I'm going back to the Mrs. and Bairns now, son, and you going back to yours. But don't stay away and don't be a stranger. We'll keep the home fires burning, and I've got one here for you. Right. Two more, the man says. What am I going to do? I think I know. I'll get this big pile on the early side for you find one. So, I'll do this one, and then I'll finish on a sad heritage one, which is a true one. So, this is. Is there anybody in the tunnel who likes lovely fat bumblebees? The sign that summer's coming. Jolly buzzy things just bumping into stuff. They're a bit harmless, lovely. I love the big fat bumblebees. Wasps, less so. Every time I do this, somebody comes up to me at the end and protests. Or every time there's one person who comes up and says, actually, wasps are very useful. No, they're not. Wasps are useful fuel. So I'm here to teach you a science lesson tonight. This is a biology lesson, and it's true. This is the difference between bees and wasps. A bee knocks at the door, coughs shy and polite, whispers its bee name, has an afternoon snooze after a very hard morning, playing Sergeant Wilson to a geranium's Mrs. Pike. A wasp smashes your window with its buzzsaw hairdo, spits in your kitchen, gets pissed on cider he nicked from your fridge, which he opened himself, then picks fights with your family. A bee lives high on honey in the close company of its bosom buddy clan, says thank you and please, and in unbusy moments hands change to the homeless. A wasp lives for pain, others not its own. It gets off on tears, takes pocket money off kids to buy itself beers. Each sting-strung knuckle is tattooed hate. A bee dreams paintings of amber haywains, of nature's cure for all and of sun-kissed plains. A wasp dreams of jackboots, goose-stepping, saluting, of nights spent French kissing Vladimir Putin. Bees are bumbling, benign, beatific, bewitching, benevolent, busy, butterballed and bonny. Wasps are wankers. So, one more. I'm going to finish on a sad one, which you should never do really, but I thought with its heritage tonight. So this is a true story. So on Christmas night in 1939, just up the road from here in Blythe, there was a wartime submarine station there called the Seahorse, the HMS Seahorse. And on Christmas night, the crew were in for a drink, and they were going off on a mission the next day. They couldn't talk about, but they were going off the next day, and they won the raffle, which is a big bottle of whiskey. And the landlady said, "You've won the raffle, lads." And the captain, who was called Leonard Wilson, his nickname was Tug, because he would tug the thing out of the harbours. Tug Wilson said, "We can't take it. We can't drink it now. We're on manoeuvres tomorrow. Put it behind the bar, and we'll have it when we get back." This is all true. And they went off and got to somewhere nobody really knows where, because the submarine was lost. It got off northern Germany towards Denmark way, Helgoland as it was called, and disappeared. And nobody ever heard from them since. So the submarine was lost. And the old landlady, bless her, from 1939 to 1971 when she retired, she kept it for them behind the bar in case any of them ever turned up. And when she retired in 1971, it was being taken over by a brewery, and she thought, "I'm not going to trust those buggers with it." So she gave it to the Maritime Museum. But now, it's back at the pub. It's the Astley Arms, if you're interested to go in. It's on the seafront in Seaton Sluice. The Astley Arms, it's in a glass case on the wall, and it tells you the story about it. And I was told this by a good friend of mine called Keith Blackburn, who sadly died this month, and we saw him off last week. So this is for Keith, but this is also for the crew of the Seahorse. Thank you so much for coming and listening. This is my stint finished, but I think we're going to finish off with something else, aren't we? Yeah, Morris and Maria are going to finish it off. So, a drink to the crew of the Seahorse. Here's a drink to you, me lads. It's still behind the bar since Christmas night 1939, when you slipped your wires for the very last time. Did you ever make it to Heligoland, lads? Sweethearts and bairns landlocked, darkened, waiting for word, the echo of telegraphs unseen, unheard. As brave as sea lions, just young lads, forever in sepia in mums and dads' pride of place photo frames, punch proud on dressers, in prayers before bed. May the Lord keep and bless us, forever on parade, marinated in tears. Eric Armstrong, Philip Lee, Tug Wilson, 23. Jack Dunwell, Albert Skilling, it's New Year, and time is killing John Coombe, Arthur Kane, John Baker, Richard Main, John White, John Hyde. How many mothers cried? Billy Packer, 27, gone to sea, gone to heaven. Here's a drink to you, my lads, forever behind the bar.
Right, we're going to do one thing to finish off, and we Harry mentioned earlier. Harry, what?
Hands are really cold.
It's with the temperature. It's with the temperature.
Yes.
That's what it's with. I have an explanation of everything.
Oh, you
What
do?
key are we in? G.
No.
No, B minor.
That one.
That one.
So this tune's called Colour Coats Watch House, and it's kind of the signature tune for the Colour Coats Brewery project, and it's about Colour Coats Watch House, which was a place that was used as a lookout, but also as a place of community really, and they're trying to restore it now, and it needs a lot of work, and I think the idea is for it to take on more of a role as a community centre. So the tune's kind of trying to capture its different phases of its existence. Right.
Well, thank you all so much for coming. Thank you so much for staying, although you couldn't really get out, could you? It's like sort of a captive audience. It's not a hostage situation at all. So, another big round of applause for Adam Holden.
Thank you.
For Harry Gallier. And we've been Liggins Fiddle. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming.